My boyfriend called my mother dead weight in my own kitchen while standing in the apartment I secretly paid for with the $40,000 a month he didn't know I made. I was slicing onions for dinner when I heard him say it. "She needs to stop leaning on you," he muttered to my sister, thinking I couldn't hear. "Your family is the lot. At some point she has to cut the umbilical cord, you know? I can't carry all of you forever." My hand froze on the cutting board. Carry us. The rent, the groceries, the electricity, the emergency transfer I'd sent my mom last week. All of it was coming out of my accounts. Not his. He had no idea. I'm 28. My now ex-boyfriend, Mark, is 31. We met 3 years ago when I was working as a receptionist at a dental clinic. Back then, my life matched my parents' expectations. Low pay, long hours, polite, exhausted. Mark was a client. Sales manager at some logistics company. Nice watch, nice cologne, the kind of guy who tips big and jokes with everyone. He asked me out after his second appointment. I said yes because he was charming and, honestly, I was tired of being invisible. In the beginning, it felt like he was rescuing me. He took me to restaurants I couldn't afford, insisted on paying, told me I deserved nice things. He made cracks about my job. "You're too smart to answer phones for a living," but at the time it sounded like encouragement. My family loved him at first. We didn't grow up with men who took people out to dinner just because. My dad left when I was 12. My mom worked 2 jobs. My younger brother failed out of college and was trying to figure out his life. Money was always a problem. Mark walked in with his leather shoes and confidence, and my mom looked at me like, "You did good." I wanted to believe that too. The money shift started about a year into our relationship. I'd always liked social media and design. On weekends I messed around with simple graphics, captions, scheduling tools. A friend who had a small clothing brand asked if I could help her with Instagram for a little something. That little something turned into a monthly retainer. From there it snowballed. Word of mouth. Referrals. Suddenly I had 3 clients. Then 5. Then a guy in the US wanted me to manage ads. I stayed up at night learning, testing, failing, trying again. I quit the receptionist job quietly when my side income matched my salary. Mark thought I'd been laid off. When I told him I was trying freelance stuff instead of office work, he made a face. "So, you're unemployed," he said, half joking. "It's contract work," I replied. "I have clients." "Sure," he said lightly. "Just don't become one of those people living off their boyfriend." That sentence lodged itself somewhere deep in my chest. "Okay," I said. "I won't." I didn't show him my invoices. I didn't tell him when a client doubled my rate. I didn't tell him when I signed my first $5,000 per month contract with a coaching company. He liked being the provider. I could see how his shoulders straightened when a waiter brought the bill, and he got to say, "I've got it." I didn't want to take that away from him. So I let him believe his salary was holding us up while quietly building an income that would eventually hit $40,000 a month. He never asked to see my accounts. He just assumed there wasn't much to see. The first real crack showed up when my mom's landlord announced he was selling the building. She called me crying. "I can't afford to move again," she said. "Your brother just started that delivery job. We don't have first and last month money right now." I stared at the wall in my apartment while she sobbed. I still remembered sharing a 1-bedroom with her and my sister in high school, all of us sleeping on mattresses on the floor. The thought of her getting pushed out again made my stomach turn. By then, my monthly income had crossed $20,000. I had savings. I had a plan. I did the math. I talked to a broker. Within a month, I'd put a down payment on a small duplex closer to my place. Nothing crazy, but solid. I structured it under an LLC my accountant set up. But the money? That was all me. I told my mom we'd found a deal through one of my clients. I let her think we were just renting from a generous owner who liked long-term tenants. She cried again when we moved her in. Different kind of tears. Mark helped that weekend. He carried boxes, built furniture, made jokes about my brother needing to man up and get a real job instead of delivery apps. On the way back, he said, "I hope you're not giving them more money than you can afford." "I'm fine," I said. "You know I'll help if I have to," he added. "But I can't support your whole family. That's not my job." "You don't," I said. "Support them." He shrugged like he didn't believe me. That night, after he fell asleep, I checked my Stripe and PayPal dashboards. $23,800 that month. I stared at the numbers and felt 2 things at once: pride and a weird, creeping shame. I was outperforming him financially and hiding it like an affair. As my business grew, his comments got sharper. If I turned down a dinner because I had a client call, he'd sigh. Must be nice to be busy from your couch. If I sent money to my mom, he'd say, they're going to drain you if you let them. Once, when my brother called asking if I could help with his car repair, I stepped out onto the balcony to talk. When I came back, Mark was scrolling through his phone, jaw set. Let me guess, he said. Another crisis? He needs his car for work, I said. I'm just helping with part of it. You know that's not normal, right? He said. My family doesn't call me every time something goes wrong. They figure it out. Your family owns 3 properties and your dad retired at 55, I snapped. It's not the same. He shrugged. Still, you're not their bank. That was the closest we ever came to a real fight about money. But even then, I didn't say it. I didn't say, I make more than you now. I didn't say, I paid for the last 3 trips. I didn't say, the couch you're sitting on and the TV you worship football on came from my account. Instead, I kept my mouth shut and told myself it was easier this way. Easier to keep the peace. Easier to let him carry his little fantasy of being the man of the house. The cracks kept forming anyway. The other person in our relationship wasn't a woman. It was his ego. He started making jokes about girls with side hustles when we were out with his friends. You know how it is, he'd say, draping an arm over my shoulder. She plays on her laptop, I pay the bills. His friends laughed. I laughed too, tightly. At his parents' house, his mom would ask, so, still doing your little Instagram thing? Like I was a teenager selling bracelets. Yeah, I'd say. Still doing my little Instagram thing. Mark never corrected her. He loved telling people he was taking care of us while I figured things out. He repeated that phrase so often I started to hear it in my sleep. Taking care of us. Meanwhile, my agency crossed $30,000 per month when a fitness brand signed a retainer. I hired a virtual assistant, then a junior strategist. I paid them on time every month. I read about taxes and reinvestment and risk. I was building something real. He didn't ask. I didn't volunteer. We lived together for a year before he asked about rent. We were lying in bed when he said, by the way, my landlord emailed. He's increasing the rent by $200. I almost laughed. His landlord was me. I'd bought the apartment 6 months earlier when the actual landlord wanted to sell. I saw the listing before it went public because my broker knew I was looking for something close by. The numbers made sense. I knew what we were paying, what market value was, how much I could get from other tenants if we ever moved. The mortgage was in the LLC's name. The payments auto-deducted from my business account. I never told Mark. Now he was looking at me seriously. Can you swing an extra $100? He asked. I'll cover the other half. Yeah, I said slowly. I can swing it. He kissed my forehead. That's my girl, he said. I stared at the ceiling in the dark and realized how deep the lie had gotten. The real breaking point came at my mom's birthday. We planned a small dinner at my place because it was bigger than hers. She invited my aunt, my brother, my sister. I cooked. My sister brought cake. My brother bought flowers with his own money and was proud of it. My mom stood in my kitchen, tearing up over a stupid scented candle I'd gotten her. You always do too much, she said, hugging me. I don't know what I'd do without you. Mark walked in on that hug. Dinner ready? He asked, looking over the food like he'd ordered it. Almost, I said. We all sat down. It was one of those nights that could have been good. My mom was laughing. My brother was telling some story about a nightmare customer. For a second, it actually felt like a family that wasn't constantly drowning. Then my aunt, who had been drinking, turned to Mark. You're a good man, she slurred a little. Thank you for taking care of our girl. My mom nodded. Yes, she said. Thank you for helping her. We know she helps us a lot, and sometimes, she glanced at me. Sometimes it's heavy. So, thank you. Mark smiled like a king being recognized by his subjects. Well, he said, I'm doing my best. It's not easy, you know? Supporting both your own life and your girlfriend's entire family at our age. Every muscle in my body went tight. My brother frowned. What do you mean? Mark shrugged, like it was nothing. Rent, utilities, groceries, random emergencies, he said lightly. It adds up. Her mom calls, her brother calls, her sister calls. Sometimes I feel like a walking A-team. Silence hit the table like a slap. My mom's face fell. What? She whispered. We never asked you. You ask her, he said. Same difference, right? He laughed. No one else did. My face burned so hot I thought I might pass out. Mark, I said, my voice low. Enough. He waved a hand. Relax. I'm just being honest. Someone has to say it. There's a line between family and dependence, you know? My brother pushed his chair back. I pay my own rent, he said sharply. And the car. And my stuff. She helps sometimes, but… Bro, it's fine. Mark cut in, talking over him. I'm just saying, at some point, we'll have our own kids, our own responsibilities. We can't keep carrying everyone forever. My mom's eyes filled with tears. We never wanted to be a burden, she said quietly. You're not, I snapped. You're not. I looked at Mark. His eyes met mine, dismissive, like don't be dramatic. That look woke something up in me. Because sitting there, listening to him paint himself as some hero while my mother apologized for existing in front of a man who didn't buy a single chair in that dining room, that was my line. In that moment, I realized something cruel and simple. He liked the story of me as the poor girl with the needy family and him as the savior. He needed it. And I had been feeding that story with my silence. I got up, took a deep breath and said, Mom, can you and everyone else give me and Mark a minute? They left, confused and embarrassed. I heard the murmur of voices in the hallway. I turned back to him. You're not carrying anyone, I said. You're not supporting my family. You're not supporting me. You've never paid a single bill for my mom. You've never transferred my brother a cent. You send me half of what you think is the rent, and that's it. He frowned. What are you talking about? We split. I pay for this apartment. I cut in. Not just the extra. The whole thing. It's mine. My name's on the deed. The landlord you email? That goes to me. I own my mom's place too. I've been helping them with my money, not yours. He laughed, short and sharp. Okay, now you're just trying to humiliate me in front of your family. I'm trying to stop you from humiliating them, I said. And me, in my own house. He scoffed. So, what, you think because you make a little money from Instagram or whatever, you're some big shot now? There it was. The contempt. It hit harder than anything he'd said about my family. I realized then that no amount of explaining would fix this. He didn't want facts. He wanted to keep the hierarchy where he was on top, and I was grateful. I swallowed the rage and sat back down. Go apologize, I said. Right now. To my mom. Then we'll talk. He stared at me. For what? He said. And that was my answer. I didn't break up with him that night. I wish I could say I threw him out immediately, but I didn't. My mom was crying. My aunt was tipsy. My brother was fuming. I patched the evening together as best I could. Mark stressed, I said in the hallway, hating myself as I smoothed it over. He didn't mean it like that. It's just money anxiety. I heard my own voice and wanted to slap myself. But I knew something now. I was done. I just needed to leave right. I needed to protect my family and my business and myself. I didn't want him blowing up my accounts, my clients, my stuff on his way out. So, I did what I'm best at. I planned. First, I quietly moved all shared subscriptions, utilities, and accounts fully into my name or out of his reach. Most of them already were. The internet, streaming, power, my cards. I just made sure. Second, I went to my bank and confirmed the apartment and my LLC were fully separated from him. He was on no paperwork, no cosign, nothing. I didn't even have him as an emergency contact. Third, I started looking for a new tenant. Not for me, for the apartment. Because at some point, I realized my question wasn't, how do I get him to treat my family better? It was, how fast can I get him out of the home he thinks he's paying for? I lined up a friend of a friend who needed a place in a few months. I told her, it'll be available soon. I'll let you know. Fourth, I pulled my mom aside a week after her birthday and told her the truth. We were at her place. She was folding laundry. Mom, I said, I need to tell you something. About the apartment. She looked up, worried. They're not selling again, are they? No, I said. They're not selling. Because there is no they. I own this place. I bought it 2 years ago. Your rent goes to me. I didn't say anything because I wanted you to feel safe and not guilty. She stared at me like I was speaking another language. That's not funny, she whispered. I opened my email, handed her my phone, and showed her the purchase documents, the mortgage, the payment history. Her hands shook. You, she said. How? When? You don't make that kind of money, do you? I took a breath. I make around $40,000 a month, I said. Sometimes more. I have a marketing agency. Clients in the US, UK here. Ads, content, the boring stuff. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to worry about me, or ask a million questions, or feel like you owed me something. She sat down slowly. All this time, she whispered. Yeah. And Mark? He doesn't know, I said. He thinks he's carrying us. She let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob. I thought he was helping you, she said. I thought you were the fragile one, and he was the strong one. I'm so sorry. Her apology broke me more than his insults. You believed what I let you believe, I said. It's on me too. We sat there in the laundry smell, both seeing our lives a little clearer. Then I told her the rest. I'm going to break up with him, I said. But I'm not going to do it in a screaming match. I want him out clean. I wanted you to know I've got you, no matter what he says about carrying anyone. She nodded slowly. I trust you, she said. Do what you have to do. The opportunity for the final blow came sooner than I expected. 2 weeks later, Mark suggested we have both families over for dinner. It's time, he said, grinning. We've been talking about getting engaged forever. I want to do it right. Ask your family's blessing. Show them I'm serious. My stomach flipped. Engaged, I repeated. Don't freak out, he said, laughing. I know you want it. You leave wedding photos open on your laptop all the time. I left them open because I was planning content for a bridal client. But sure, I didn't argue. Okay, I said. Let's do it. If you're wondering why I agreed to a fake engagement dinner with a man I was planning to dump, leverage. I knew how he saw himself. The generous provider. The man elevating the poor girl's life. Doing this with both families present meant he'd be at his most performative. It also meant he'd be at his most vulnerable. I wasn't going to humiliate him for sport. I just wanted the truth out where it couldn't be twisted in whispers later. I spent the next few days preparing, not a ring, but paperwork. I printed proof of my company's earnings. Bank statements, redacted for account numbers, but clear enough. The deed to the apartment. The lease agreement with a future tenant, pending my signature. The purchase documents for my mom's place. I put everything in a simple, cheap folder. No dramatics. Just facts. Then I cooked. The night of the dinner, everyone showed up dressed nice. His parents brought wine. My mom brought dessert. My brother and sister helped in the kitchen. Mark was buzzing, bouncing between conversations, pouring drinks, being charming. He kept making little comments. This is going to be a big step, he said in the hallway, straightening his shirt in the mirror. I've been thinking a lot about the future. Providing. Taking things to the next level. Being the man you and your family need. The man we need, I repeated. Yeah, he said. I want your mom to know she can rely on me too, not just on you running around fixing everything. The irony almost made me laugh. We sat down. Toast started. His dad said some words. My mom tried to say something but got emotional and cut herself off. Then Mark stood up. He tapped his glass. Thank you all for coming, he began. I wanted to bring everyone together because I love your daughter, your sister, more than anything, and I'm ready to take the next step. I've been working hard to build a stable life for us, to support her, to make sure she and, by extension, all of you are taken care of. That word again. Support. He reached into his pocket. I got a ring, he said, smiling at me. It's not huge yet, but it's the best I can do on one income, you know? With how much we help. Stop, I said. The room went still. He blinked. What? I stood up. Sit down, I said quietly. We're not doing this. A flush crept up his neck. You're embarrassing me, he hissed. I took the folder from the sideboard and put it on the table. Embarrassing you would be letting you propose under a lie, I said. I'm done doing that. Our families looked between us, confused. I opened the folder and pulled out the first document. This is the deed to this apartment, I said, keeping my voice steady. It's in my company's name. Paid for with my money. I own it. Mark does not. I put down the second document. This is the purchase agreement for my mom's building. Same thing. I own it. I put down the third, a simple monthly revenue report from my payment processor. This is an average month for my business. I make around $40,000 a month. Sometimes more. I've been doing that for a while. Silence. My sister's eyes were wide. My brother's jaw dropped. His mother had her hand to her chest. My mom was staring at the table, breathing fast. Mark snorted. This is ridiculous, he said. What? You're making up numbers now to what? Emasculate me. Because your aunt made a joke about me paying for things. I slid the stack of bank statements toward his father. Feel free to look, I said. Those are deposits. From clients. From companies you've heard of. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying it because I'm done letting you stand in rooms like this and talk about carrying my family when the truth is you have no idea what I do or what I pay for. He looked around, realizing people were actually reading. Babe, he said, voice sharp. This isn't the time. This is exactly the time, I said. You chose this moment to tell everyone how you'd be supporting us. I'm just updating the script to match reality. His dad cleared his throat. Son, he said slowly. These look real. Mark shot him a glare. Whose side are you on? There are no sides, I said. Just facts. I took a breath and looked him in the eye. You don't support my family, I said. You've never paid my mom's rent. You don't pay my brother's bills. You send me half the rent you think we split, and I appreciate that, but that's it. The rest is me. It's been me for a long time. He was breathing hard now. So you lied, he snapped. You let me think you needed me. I did need you, I said. Just not for money. I needed a partner. Someone who respected where I came from. Someone who didn't call my mother a burden in my own kitchen. Someone who didn't build themselves up by tearing my family down. My mom let out a choked sob. You said that, she whispered. He looked at her, panicked. It was a joke, he said. I was just venting. Everyone knows. Everyone knows nothing. I cut in. You don't get to rewrite it now. I picked up the last document, the lease for the apartment with a new tenant's name on it. I also needed you out of my house, I said. This is a new lease starting in 6 weeks. You won't be living here anymore. His face strained. What, he said. You're kicking me out? Just like that. I'm not kicking you out, I said calmly. I'm ending a relationship. Legally, you've never been on this lease. You've never been on the deed. You're my guest. And my guest does not get to insult my family and rewrite my story. I slid an envelope toward him. There's money in there for a deposit on a new place, I added. And the hotel across the street is booked in your name for the next week, so you have time. Your stuff is already in boxes. My brother will help you carry them downstairs if you want. My brother nodded, jaw tight. Gladly, he said. Everyone was quiet. Mark stared at me like he'd never seen me before. Is this because I proposed? He asked, voice low and ugly. Because I had the nerve to want a future with you? No, I said. It's because you wanted a future where my family were parasites and you were the hero. That's not my future. Not anymore. He slammed his hands on the table and stood. You're crazy, he said. You're all ungrateful. Good luck finding someone who puts up with this. He knocked his chair over and stormed out. No one followed him. We sat there in the echo of the door slamming. Then my aunt, of all people, let out a long, slow whistle. Well, she said, that was something. My brother started laughing, a short, disbelieving sound. My mom reached across the table and grabbed my hand. I didn't know, she whispered. About the money. About him. About any of it. I know, I said. It's okay. No, she said, tears streaming down her face. It's not. You've been carrying all of us and letting him take credit. I should have seen it. I'm your mother. I let it happen, I said. I was scared. Of him. Of you. Of what you'd think if I failed after telling you I was doing well. Hiding felt safer. My sister wiped her eyes. Well, she said. Hiding time is over. Underscore 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 underscore. The fallout was messy. Mark sent long, angry texts for a week, accusing me of humiliating him, of lying, of using him for emotional support, and then discarding him when I got rich. I read them once and then blocked him everywhere. His mother called my mom and tried to get the full story. My mom, who 2 weeks earlier would have bent over backwards to keep the peace, said, "My daughter has nothing to explain to you," and hung up. That was a twist I didn't expect. My brother moved some of his things into my mom's spare room and started saving more aggressively, determined to pull his own weight for real. He stopped making self-deprecating jokes about being the family screw-up. I shared some basic money stuff with him. How to budget. How to save. How to start investing small. My sister, who had always tiptoed around conflict, backed me up in every conversation with extended family. When someone said it was harsh to do it in front of everyone, she answered, he was the one performing in front of everyone. She just changed the script. Business-wise, nothing changed. My clients didn't care that I'd finally confronted my personal life. They cared that their ads were converting. But something shifted in how I showed up. I raised my rates for new clients. I stopped apologizing for my numbers when talking to my accountant. I stopped downplaying my work in casual conversations. I stopped saying, I help with social media, and started saying, I run a marketing agency. It's been 6 months. The apartment has a new tenant who pays full market rent. I spend more time at my mom's place than I did before, but now it's not out of obligation. It's because I want to. Mark moved back in with his parents, according to a mutual acquaintance. He tells people I changed when I got money. Maybe that's true. What he doesn't say is that I changed when I finally realized money wasn't the problem, silence was. My family treats me differently now, but not in the way I feared. There's respect, yes, but also more honesty. My mom doesn't guilt-trip me about visits. My brother doesn't hide his mistakes. My sister doesn't assume I'll fix everything automatically. They know what I can do. More importantly, they know what I won't tolerate. I'm not going to lie and say I don't sometimes miss the early version of Mark, the one who made me feel seen when I was answering phones all day. But when that nostalgia creeps in, I remember my mother at that table apologizing to him for being a burden while he took a victory lap on a track I built. I remember my own voice, small and tired, laughing at jokes about my little Instagram thing. And then I remember standing up, putting the folder on the table and saying, here's the truth. The money mattered. But the real revenge wasn't the $40,000 a month. It was finally acting like someone who deserved it.